Are we rolling right now?
Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. Things have taken a pretty big upturn for you.
Yeah.
As of last night, 112.4k monthly Spotify listeners, 59k followers on TikTok, 700,000 likes, 22.6k on YouTube. Social Blade, as of last night, just over 16 million all-time views on YouTube.
Really? I do remember dropping that first ever in the house with Marky B, like seeing the numbers on that was like a pretty crazy feeling.
Say that put you on the map. You're a little bit shorter than the average person, right? Yeah. What is the reason for that?
Well,
some
my
quotes. I've never let myself not be okay with money.
Is that something I said?
That's something you said.
That sounds well. I've not just done it. I don't know. Sometimes I have the dread of like, oh, what if everyone just stops listening to my music all of a sudden?
Is that a confidence thing? Worst case, you can go back to Sainsbury.
There's a lot of other things I do before doing that.
Going back.
Yeah. Never really stood out in school at like maths or English or anything like that. I did like archery at one point. I tried breakdancing in like drama class and stuff like that. Like music's something that it's really endless in the sense that I just spend like hours just like playing drums or practicing guitar. It basically started because my grandma wanted someone to play an instrument.
Do you think you're a selfish person?
I think I make an opinion of people quite quick, but usually it ends up being like whatever I think of that person is usually how they end up being. I think most hate comes from people who are unhappy with themselves in some sort of way.
What has been your biggest learning curve?
Oh.
What was the last podcast you did, bro?
Probably Wolfers. Oh,
yeah.
No, actually, it'd be bruh. I've just spelt learning L-U-R. I'm so cooked.
Oh dear me.
It'd probably be that fucking
the Wolf Subs pod.
No.
The one me, you and Wolfie did.
No.
You doing a different one?
A podcast client. That one that I got roped into because their client didn't show up. So they were like, we'll just get you on. I forgot what they're called.
That's mad, that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I ended up on that, didn't I? I can't remember whether that was...
I fully forgot about that.
Yeah, I can't remember whether that was after or before.
Yeah.
I think it was after, wasn't it? The
one
I did with you and Wolfer.
You had your own podcast for a bit as well, though, didn't
you? Well,
2 episodes.
Like 2 episodes, yeah.
Marky B.
Not really for me.
With Marky B and
I did one with
Cav.
Tactics as well.
Tactics. He watched the podcast studio story yesterday.
Tactics
actually.
Did.
Yeah.
Did it? I think I told him about the whole business thing and that when.
Oh right, yeah, back in
when I went down.
When you were involved, yeah.
Because I think he was on about starting one maybe. So
mad. So speaking of the Wolf Subs podcast.
Are we rolling right now?
Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, I feel like I'd just go straight into it, mate. So what I did last night, I transcribed the Wolf Subs pod that you did.
All right, yeah.
Because that was my first sort of recollection of a podcast that I remember you going on, and I thought, let me just see run it through ChatGPT, see what like some
see what I'm waffling about.
See what some key takeaways were about the podcast. So here's some quotes from that podcast. I've never let myself not be okay with money.
Is that something I said?
That's something you said.
That sounds well. I've not just done it.
What do you think you meant by that?
I just think money really, like, unfortunately, the way, like, as life is, money is kind of like a really big aspect of, like, personally how I feel mentally, like how confident I will be, like, going into like a new business idea, or how secure you feel in life, I think, and like whether you can look after yourself, sort of thing. So I think just like making sure I've always got savings and stuff like that, and if anything goes wrong, I'm kind of ready to I've got money, basically, like having money there to cover the little stuff in life, so then it don't pile up on me, and I can always kind of like focus on what I actually want to focus on, rather than being stressed about like, can I pay my bills, or can I like.
It's interesting you say that, because that leads into another quote from that episode, which is, freedom is my life goal, freedom to do what I want when I want. And I feel like since that podcast,
Yeah.
things have definitely taken a pretty big upturn for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so.
In, you know, probably most metrics. Like, not to gas you up too much, mate, because I know you've already got a big head as it is. But no, you're actually a very humble guy, I would say. But I was looking last night just out of curiosity, because, you know, I listen to your music pretty much every month.
Right.
Like, well, every week, I'd say, like, in some
Yeah.
shape or form. And every time I go on the Spotify, I'll see however many monthly listeners you've got and whatnot. But I thought, let me have a look and dig a little bit deeper and see what the statistics are saying sort of across the board.
Right.
And here's some notes that I made. So, as of last night, 112.4k monthly Spotify listeners.
Yeah.
59k followers on TikTok, with 700,000 likes on that TikTok.
Right, yeah.
10.9k monthly on SoundCloud, which
Yeah.
does that sound about
I think
right?
you mean followers.
For that'd be followers.
Yeah,
That's followers. I don't use SoundCloud, so
No,
I didn't
it's
really know where to look for like monthly listeners. What is the?
I
monthly
don't think
listeners?
they have a monthly listeners on
No.
SoundCloud now. I think it's just followers.
Is that not something you can see on the back end?
No, not even. I don't know.
No. Oh, fair enough.
I think monthly listeners is quite unique to Spotify. I don't even think Apple Music has that. I could be wrong, unless
Right.
you might have it there.
No, I don't.
But no.
Well, I haven't even taken Apple into account, but moving on to YouTube, so 22.6k on your main account on YouTube, and according to Social Blade, as of last night, just over 16 million all-time views on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's just from your account. Obviously, there'll be a few other million views out there, probably on other videos that are your tunes.
Yeah.
People have posted on their pages and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I added up your 9 most listened to tracks on Spotify, because for some reason the 10th one on the most popular was like way less than the others, so I didn't think it was actually.
It's probably because it's a new song. Maybe.
Yeah, it's probably that. Yeah. Added up those 9, that came to about 7.2 million streams.
Yeah.
You can't see on Spotify someone's all-time streams when it's an artist.
I can tell you. If you want.
I mean, you can probably see it from your artist dashboard, but
Yeah.
I would be curious to see what that is.
I think Spotify is my most my biggest number in terms of, I think it tops the YouTube views.
Yeah.
I can't do longer than a year.
Seems a bit
which is
stupid,
annoying.
that, doesn't it?
But last 12 months is 6 mil. 6.1 odd mil, so
yeah, it's gonna be
and
well over double that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really.
my first song was like 2022, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So going back to that quote then, where is it? Freedom is my life goal, freedom to do what I want when I want. You said that on that podcast, I think that was 2022. Probably back end of 2022, coming into 2023.
Yeah.
Would you say you've achieved that goal? Yeah.
I would say so, pretty much. I wouldn't say I'm like financially free, like I still have to like think about money in terms of like, but that's probably me thinking a bit like over the top about it, maybe about like so far into the future, like or like I don't know, sometimes I have the dread of like, oh, what if everyone just stops listening to my music all of a sudden, or
is that always there?
Yeah, I don't think it's something that'll ever go away. And I mean, I've spoke to people that are doing way more numbers than I have and been doing it a lot longer than I have, and they still say that sort of thing. Or so I don't think it's something that'll ever go away, but I think that's probably the thing that also keeps pushing you, so you probably don't want that to go away.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's, it can be quite bad to be complacent in anything you do. So yeah,
100%.
But yeah, I would definitely say that I get to like pick and choose how I spend my days and stuff like that. which is obviously a huge blessing. And I would say I don't. It's rare that I'll have. In fact, I can't remember the last time I did something that I didn't really like enjoy at least a little bit, or you know what I mean.
So, digging into that quote a little bit more, I know this is something you said a couple of years ago now, but I found it really interesting just going through that and seeing what it came out with. Freedom to do what I want when I want. Like, do you think maybe yourself, when you said that back in the day, you might have been thinking like totally financially, like you know, I don't know, I can work like 1 or 2 hours of the day and then do whatever the fuck else the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that sort of manifested itself now then, based on what you've said, more so to you're able to pick and choose the work that you actually do? So like, I'm sure you've been approached by lots of different people to produce tracks and to do this and that and whatever, but now, rather than seeing something that someone might propose to you with a fat price tag on it, in the past maybe that was something that you might have been more inclined to do, even if it was less aligned with like your style, or like, I don't know, for whatever reason you might not have wanted to do it, but the price tag would have made you want to do it. Whereas now you're in a position where you can pick and choose those things.
Yeah, definitely. I think back then, like whenever that podcast was a couple of years ago, something, that money was definitely like,
I'm gonna double check when that podcast was, but carry on.
Money was definitely like more of a motivator for me, and like something that was kind of like not why I did everything, because I was doing like there's much better things to make money from than music, but it was kind of like what I could do and what I was good at, so that's what I stuck at to make money. But now it's more so that I realise that I've got to like a certain level of like being happy with the money I am making, that it's actually not just all about the money for me. It's actually like I want to make songs that I am proud of, and like music that I'm proud of, and stuff like that. Whereas I'm not saying that, you know, I did stuff that I think's rubbish or whatever, or worked with people that I don't rate, because that's not the case. But maybe every now and again, like you say, I mean, there's that thing of like everything's got a price, hasn't it? Like,
of course,
to a certain level of like, it was like back then, like I couldn't really say no to certain things because I did actually need the money. Whereas now it's more like, do I actually want to do that project, or is that going to be something that I'm going to look at back at in 5 years' time and think, yeah, that's a really good song, or is it building towards my goals now, rather than is it just a quick paycheck sort of thing?
There's a lot going on in my head right now. I'm thinking like, so for example, I came with you to Brighton when you did the DJ set for the Bevo meetup with M.R doing like a little thing as well. Like, I remember when we went and you sort of we were talking on the way back, I think, and you were saying like you were going into doing a few more DJ sets. I feel like you did a big one after that as well.
Yeah, I did a festival after that.
You did that festival, and that looked like there were a lot of people there.
Yeah, I couldn't give you exact number, but people. Definitely, 1,000 plus.
Like, you were sort of leaning into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But now I feel like you've taken a bit of a step back away from that as well.
Yeah, I think there's people that kind of just want to be a DJ, and then producing comes second to them. Whereas I think I'm definitely the other way around. Producing is definitely first for me, making the music.
So if somebody asked you what is, or who is Sluggy Beats? Sluggy Beats as an entity, as an artist.
Yeah.
Is it an artist, a producer, or a DJ, or
definitely
an amalgamation?
Producer for me, because if I don't get to DJ, like tour around the world, whatever, I won't be upset about that. And even if the music I make as Sluggy Beats, even if that doesn't become huge, I'm not. I mean, obviously it'd be great, but I'm not super upset about it. Like, what I want to do is produce good music that lots of people enjoy, whether that's for another artist or whatever. I'm not too bothered as long as I just make a really great song. I don't care about being the face of it,
forefront
or,
of that.
yeah. But obviously, if any of that stuff does happen, then I'll still enjoy it and take that opportunity. But that's kind of why I took a step back from the DJing, because it's not like I was getting booked as Sluggy Beats and whatever, but it wasn't like people would come to enjoy my sets because they already knew me, or I was playing my songs. It was like I'm playing music to please them, so then they're maybe taking interest in me rather than
Right, I
like
see. Yeah.
say if you're going to watch David Guetta or whoever, you already know
the David Guetta
Guetta
tracks.
and you're off to watch David Guetta. Whereas, like
if you went and you played Marky B's in the house,
yeah,
there's gonna be
some people know
some
it.
people know it.
Yeah.
Some people hear it and they'll fuck with it,
Yeah.
and they'll be having a good time. But then
Yeah.
there'll be other people who are like, "Who the hell is this guy? What's this?"
Yeah,
music? And then they might
exactly.
leave.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when like DJing's kind of like a second thought. Whereas like some people might do the DJing thing to grow their brand and then think, oh, well, I'm getting a following as a DJ and I might as well start producing my own tracks and put them out. Whereas I'm the other way. I want to produce my own tracks, and then if enough people seem to, like that and want to see them tracks played live, then that's something I'd look into further down the line.
Because your sounds changed. Well, I don't know if it's fair to say that it's changed, because you've got a very wide variety of different sounds, I think.
Yeah.
That makes like the sort of music you make. I mean, I remember you playing me some stuff that you made like years ago.
Yeah.
And it was totally different than the house stuff, like what would you call that genre?
I got asked this the other day as well at an event, but it doesn't have like a definitive name. It's just like bassline, I guess.
Bassline house.
Yeah, but like bassline, or it's obviously getting branded with the whole Chava thing, but and like MCs and but there's no exact genre
name for it. Do you want me to tell you what I found it to be, allegedly? House meets rap.
House meets rap.
House rap.
House rap
is what it is sort of commonly known as online. But so as I was saying, I feel like it might seem like your sound is changing, but what I'm saying is I feel like from what I know with your music, you've always had different sounds.
Yeah.
Like you've always had a bit of a variety. It's not like, even though most people will probably know you for that house rap series specifically, in the house with Sluggy Beats, that's not always been your thing, and it won't always just be that. And obviously now you're transitioning into the more sort of, what would you call the new stuff now, like what you sent me the other day?
I guess it's along that speed garage vibe, but it's still got like the bass line. I mean, like I said to you, I was trying to make the unreleased track I sent you, which I haven't really posted online anywhere.
Which is sick, by the way.
Thank you.
I really do like that.
But I wouldn't actually know where to place that
as a genre.
And I kind of like that because I'm not trying to make something that exactly.
You're treading sort of between the lines.
Yeah, it's like speed garage mixed with like a bit of bass line, and then, like I said to you, like I want to bring back that like 2010s like dancey pop vibe, so it's got a bit of that in there.
Something that you said before, right? So you said, as long as people enjoy the thing that you've made, right? Whether your name's at the forefront of it or not. Why, like, where did that come from? Have you had sort of this affinity in you to like be a people pleaser, or is it just you just enjoy it? What do you get out of that? Like, when you see people or you hear people talking about your music, how does it make you feel?
Quite awkward, to be fair, about talking about the music. But I think probably more like the memories that it creates, like music, as a whole, and like moments, like at festivals and stuff like that, and just people generally just enjoying life and having a good time, pretty much.
I feel I'm trying to get at, like, what is the thing in your head that is driving you to make the music? So you do it obviously because you enjoy it, but why do you enjoy it?
I really don't know. I just think music just makes me feel good. I think I've always kind of had quite like, I mean, people say about like addictive personalities and stuff like that. I don't think I've got an addictive personality in the sense that like I'd get hooked on drugs or something like that, but I'm quite addicted at like getting good at something. So like even just like in other parts of life, like, well, even like football, like we play football together like twice a week.
Yeah.
I only started playing football like 2 years ago.
I'm glad you brought that up, to be honest.
Yeah, and then it kind of, I really enjoyed it, but I didn't just enjoy it for just playing it. It was like,
the process
of
getting better. Yeah.
And it's like, even like I got into chess last year. I'd never played chess before in my life, and I learned how to play it, and then since then I probably play it every day just to get that bit better at it each day. So it's like music's something that it's really endless in the sense that like you can learn instruments, you can learn production, you can get better at recording, you can learn to DJ. Like there's so much to learn and so many different genres that
you can never complete it.
Yeah, you can't. There's no end to it, and it's just like that excitement of like you don't know what you're gonna make that day, or like, and that song I sent you the other day, that was like the 4th version of it, and like the previous 3 versions sounded completely different, and it was only the other day, like a few days before I sent you it, that I found that bass in the drop, and when I found that, I was like, that's like that like magical moment of like it makes you feel something.
It's like the missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's like, what is that? And it's like when I can imagine other people hearing it and thinking, yeah, that's like really cool. Or, you know, if you're writing a song and you have that one line where it's like, that's a powerful line. Or
I think this is probably a big reason as to why you have been as successful as you've been from a numbers perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds to me like your driving force is intrinsic. Like,
I don't know what that word means.
So you do it, not, yeah, like you spoke about earlier. Obviously, there was a certain threshold that you had to pass. Let's say from a financial perspective, right?
Yeah.
But even then, right, your reason for doing it has been because it gives you something. So everything that you've just explained there, which perfectly ties in, I think, to what this podcast sort of stands for, is you have a hunger to learn.
Yeah.
And you're always learning, and the job that you do, your vocation is, it gives you that journey. You're always learning different things, trying different shit, making different sounds.
Yeah.
You're not just measuring it on someone else's metric. Like, you probably didn't know all those stats like off the top of your head that I read out earlier.
No.
But what you do know is like the joy that you get from finding that little piece of the song that you're making that makes it all click and makes it feel like you've got to the next step to then produce it even better.
Yeah.
And like you were mentioning about football, like, I'm not here to just blow smoke up your ass, mate. I'm really not. I don't want it to sound like that, but like with football. So when I started playing with you boys, just about a year ago now, when I got home from Australia, I came into that team and I thought, Jesus Christ, these guys are bad. I don't know if I can be associated with this team. No, but seriously, obviously, I wasn't like I wasn't as fit or as consistently playing football as I am now by any means when I started playing, but just through like having played it more than the rest of the lads in the team over a period of years, like you do notice those things. And to see like the difference in your playing style from then to now, like I was thinking about this the other day, even before we said we were going to do the podcast. Like I genuinely now look at that team and the players that we've got in that team, and especially like the lads who come down on Tuesday, I think your sort of hunger to learn, and like even small things like you'd message me and ask me for like little bits of feedback on this and that and whatever, that shows me how and why you've got to where you've got to with the music, because you're not just going to settle for just being shit, or you're not going to just it's like you don't have the capacity to allow yourself to be average. And something as well which is quite interesting, another quote from the Wolf Subs pod: once I've figured something out, it becomes boring to me. That's something you said back then. So I feel like, first of all, it's good that you're consistent with
the things I'm saying,
the things that you're saying, because you basically said that here, like one of the reasons why you enjoy music so much is because it's endless. Constantly giving back to you. It's endless, that you can't complete it. And also another thing, if you believe in yourself, why wouldn't you bet on yourself? I want to bring that back a little bit to what you said earlier about that sort of anxiety of people potentially one day will just turn the Sluggy Beats tracks off all at the same time for whatever reason, and you've got to then figure out what the fuck you're going to do next. Is that a confidence thing, or is that just a byproduct of the music industry?
I don't think it's a confidence thing, because I think, like, I know that, like, the whole believing in yourself thing, like, I know now that I've got enough skills that I will always be able to, like, make a living off music. Like, I'm not worried about that.
Worst case, you can go back to Sainsbury's.
that would be great. There's a lot of other things I'd do before doing that.
Going back. Do a couple more Bevo meetups first before you go back.
But I think it's more like it's more of a like what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe more like a gratitude thing of like where I'm at is kind of like a rare thing, and
it's hard to believe.
Like nothing's guaranteed, and I think like it's kind of that thing of like, oh, can something that good like last forever? And it kind of comes back to the freedom thing of like, the reason I have freedom to do what I want is because those people listening, like every day or every month or whatever.
Would you describe yourself as a hard worker?
There's
no right or wrong answer to that. Like,
I think I am, maybe not as much as I was, but maybe now in like a different way, because I think the reason maybe I don't feel like as much of a hard worker is because I do stuff that I want to do, rather than stuff I have to do. I felt like more of a hard worker when I was doing night shifts at Sainsbury's and then getting up and going studio, or getting up making a video, and like feeling just knackered all the time, to kind of push to get to where I am now. But I don't think that's like, I don't think I'm doing less hours or putting less effort in or anything like that. So I think I am working just as hard. It's just
you're sort of saying
work,
it's subjective. Like someone else's metric of hard work might be slaving away, like you say, stocking shelves or laying bricks or
Yeah, exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy from an outside perspective to look at someone who makes music for a living from the outside and be like, oh, they just fucking sit there and play a couple play a couple
exactly.
chords,
Yeah.
press some keys, and then bish bash bosh, they make thousands of pounds from a track.
Yeah.
But you know, and I know, I'm not from my own experience, but it isn't as simple as that.
No, definitely not. And it's like, I think there's a big thing in music as well, where it's like people will be like, oh, so and so, like Post Malone, for example, like when he drops that White Iverson song or however you say it, they were like, oh, he's blown up like overnight sort of thing. Whereas it's not overnight. It's all.
Everything.
He might have been like learning to sing or learning to play guitar for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
But everyone's witnessed that moment where he's blown up and been
Overnight.
like overnight.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've been doing music since I was like 7.
Well, that's when I think back to you in school. So for anybody listening, me and Harry went to the same school. Harry was in the year above me. We've both got the same surname, even though we're not brothers. But when I think that we know of, according to your dad, I don't know. Oh my god. I think back to you in school, and I think every time I saw you, you either were carrying a guitar, or you were playing the drums.
Yeah.
So all that, what was your first experience with music? Do you remember? Is there a moment in your mind? Because for me, right, I wanted to start playing guitar because one of my best mates started playing guitar.
Yeah.
And that made him more attractive to girls. And I was like, I want to get in on this. So then I was like, want to play guitar. But then even though that was my reason for wanting to do it, I was only like 7 years old at the time. So don't shit on me too much. Even though that was my reason for getting into it, I then fell in love with it just through like learning to play and just learning about different types of music, different musical genres, and rock and pop punk and all that sort of stuff. Is there a moment that sticks out in your mind? Like, do you remember asking for your first instrument from your parents?
I think it kind of comes from like wanting to get good at stuff. Like when I was a kid, like I did literally like everything. Like every night of the week, I had like a different club, or like I did like archery at one point, and just proper random stuff. Like I tried breakdancing in like drama class and stuff like that. And I tried breakdancing. Yeah, I just kind of like loads of stuff just really interested me, and it was never like academic stuff either. Like I was never really stood out in school at like maths or English or anything like that. But I just don't think that sort of being taught that way like resonated
you had more
with
of
me,
a creative inclination.
And just like being able to sit with something and like practice it on my own was like, I don't know, I just had no problem doing the same thing over and over again until I could do it. Music's kind of just something that I picked up and like doing one of those clubs as a kid. My grandma, it basically started because my grandma wanted someone to play an instrument in the family, and like it was something she wanted to do when she was a kid, but they like couldn't afford it. And then she had like 3 kids, has 3 kids. And none of them played an instrument. My mum says that she has to play violin once when she was a kid, but my grandma doesn't recall this. But yeah, she's not happy about that anyway.
She hasn't got the receipts.
But yeah, so anyway, like none of them 3 ended up playing an instrument. So then I was like first grandchild, and she like basically paid for my guitar lessons and stuff like that, and took me to them every week.
You're an only child, are you?
Yeah.
How did you find that growing up as an only child? I mean, you won't know any different, so obviously
Yeah.
it's a bit of a...
I think it's something I'm kind of like still learning, like over my like sort of adult years, of like how kind of weird it can be being a only child versus like
I
but
know some people I know besides yourself who are only children have a tendency to be quite sort of selfish,
right,
and like just want to do their own thing.
yeah,
Whereas they might, you could say that growing up with siblings, it's easier to be taught to share. You can still be taught to share when you're an only child as well, but sort of the way you're taught to share with siblings is a little bit different.
yeah.
Do you think you're a selfish person?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I think I definitely don't think I'm selfish in the sense that I don't think I've ever had trouble like sharing, like even as a kid and stuff like that. Like my cousins who were like came like 5 years after me, and like there's one that's like a bit younger and stuff like that. Like at Christmas and stuff, I was never
Sam?
like, yeah, and
Yeah.
like we played on games and stuff. I was never like a kid that was like, no, it's my turn now, or
Yeah.
like, no, I'm playing with that, or I was never really like that. But maybe I think I do really enjoy like just spending time on my own, and like I think that's probably where like the whole practicing instruments thing has come from, because I never had like my house was really quiet, like barely much talking, or like and no siblings to like play games with or anything like that. So I think I'd just spend like hours just like playing drums or like practicing guitar and stuff like that. Like that would be my evening, like after school, just put headphones on and play drums for 3 hours, have tea, and then.
Do you think that's helped? That sounds like it's helped you a bit, like to sort of build the ability to sit down and just sort of work.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Like you've had to be comfortable in your own company and keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
And get your head stuck into things.
Yeah. I think some people have to like who do come from like busy households or have always kind of spent time with people. I think that is something they maybe have to learn like in their adult years, where it's like something that I've always been used to and not really known any different. So like getting up and doing a day's work by myself has never been like unusual to me or something that I've found hard. But from learning from other people, I've found that other people do struggle with that, which is not something that I ever knew until obviously
it definitely took me a lot of time to sort of get my shit together in a way of like using my alone time to do productive things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's directly being affected by having siblings and being in a busy household growing up and everything like that, but maybe it does have a part to play potentially.
Yeah.
Going back to like school a little bit, so obviously we were at school together, and like I said, every time I saw you, you had an instrument of some sort. You had a little bit of an emo look going back in the day as well. A little bit of the I feel like you were looks maxing a little bit before it was trendy.
What does that mean?
You don't. So looks maxing, it's like a new sort of, I don't know even how to describe it other than it's like a new sort of trend that like young lads are doing nowadays, like early teens, like with the whole like it's just a way to what we would call back in the day swag fags. Do you remember that?
Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that is now being transitioned to what people call it today. It's like looks maxing. I'm not saying you were a swag fag, but you had the little like emo-y kind of look going on and everything. Would you say you had a lot of friends growing
up? Probably not. But I don't know, because I do have a lot of friends now. But
I was going to say, because I look at you now, you've got... I regard myself as having quite a big friendship circle, right?
Yeah.
I'd say of most of the people I know, you have probably up there with like a similar sort of size of friendship circle
Yeah.
as myself.
Yeah.
And not just that, but it sort of crosses over into different, you know,
Yeah.
different groups. Like you don't just have your one set
Yeah.
of like 2 or 3 mates. You've got an abundance of
Yeah.
people around you.
I think it's kind of tough to answer because I would say like I only really had like 3 main friends in school that I would spend like a lot of time with, but I think that maybe comes from the like whole being fine on my own sort of thing, is that I didn't feel like I needed loads of friends, and I think I've always been kind of very cautious of people and like who I spend my time with. So, and I won't be super eager to like make friends, like even going into like college or whatever. I won't be like, oh, I really need to make friends, because I'd be like quite happy just sat on my own at dinner. Like,
yeah. Why do you think why are you cautious, or why have you been cautious?
Not maybe cautious is the wrong word, because I'm not like, oh, I don't know.
You're not
more just like
not paranoid.
I think I make an opinion of people quite quick, or decide who they are as a person, and I feel like that's probably a bad thing to do, but then I would feel like that if like 99% of the time it wasn't right, but usually it ends up being like whatever I think of that person is usually how they end up being.
Right.
And I don't know if that's just from like, again, being on my own and being more observant of like people and stuff like that, rather than just being with, I don't know, might be just waffling now, but anyway. But yeah, I think as well from like you say, like it's kind of having a spread of like all different groups of friends, like I think that again just comes from my joy of like just doing lots of different stuff. It's like I might not have had like loads of friends at school, but then I had friends outside of that at like through music or whatever.
Because a lot of what you do for work, I mean, I'm saying it like it's work. I think the word vocation is a good way to describe it, because it's like, even though it is work, like that's who you are now, isn't it? Like that's what you do. The music embodies you in a way. Yeah. Not to make it too deep, I'm sure maybe you don't think about it like that, but a lot of what you do does involve working with other people. So would you say that ability that you sort of somehow developed to, let's say, get a good first impression, has helped you in the music industry to pick and choose the people you work with?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think like, as well as like being a producer, like obviously it's about the music, but I do think a really big part of being a producer is kind of, if you're in a room with an artist or with songwriters or whatever, it's about getting the best out of each person in that room. So kind of like accommodating to what they need or want, and it's like,
you've had to
like
be
if
patient.
you're in a room with like a really big personality, it's like, all right, I'll take a step back and like let them do their thing. Like they clearly have like a vision of what they want it to be like. So
but you also have the ability, I think, to be that big personality if somebody isn't.
Yeah, if like it's a bit quiet in the room, like being like, okay, so like where, what do you think about this, or would this be a good place to start? So it's kind of like, I think like you say, like knowing characters and making sure you either give more or take a bit of a backseat. I think it's a really important part of kind of like what I do.
Are there any, I'm not going to ask for any names, but has there ever been an experience when you've been in the studio with someone and you've sort of thought, right, this just is difficult? Like what? Like obviously some people are naturally going to be easier to work with than others. Yeah. How do you deal with that if you're in a situation where you're working with someone who's not cooperating, or you're just not flowing together? How do you tackle that challenge?
I think thankfully I've been quite blessed that I can't think back to a time where I've like had a really tough time to where we didn't get a song done or something like that. Because at the end of the day, like, everyone's there because they kind of want to be, which is quite good. Like if I'm working with an artist, it's because they want to work on a song. So it's like we're both there to get something.
You've already met that need.
Yeah, it's not like you're at a office job and you're really trying to get someone to fill out a document that you really need them to get done, and they're just sat there not really doing it. Everyone there does kind of want to do it, but sometimes you do get, like, people call it like writer's block or producer block, where you just can't think of anything, and it can just be like little stuff, like as simple as just like, shall we just go take a break and like get something to eat, and then come back to it. And then I don't know, I think the universe has a weird way of just kind of blessing you with ideas at certain points. Or what was the question? Sorry, I feel like I might have strayed away from this.
No, I don't think you have at all. You've sort of answered it, like tackling when my question was more sort of like, what do those
people.
Difficult people and dealing with those challenges, but also like what does that look like as well? Like, you talk about big personalities, I don't know, I think, without sounding big-headed, it's just like something that maybe I am good at, is just like managing personalities and stuff like that. Because like people have, like, don't get me wrong, not everyone loves me. Like, I've had problems with people in the past, but when I tell other people that so and so's like fallen out with me about this or whatever, they're like, "Oh, how can they have like a problem with you?" sort of thing. Like, they've had that reaction to me, which obviously is it's a good indication.
Yeah, like, it's probably not me. But you can't please everyone. I think also that thing of like, it's hard sometimes not to offend people in music as well, or like with the whole picking projects and stuff like that, like, maybe people might take it personally if I say, look, like, I'm just not really looking to do that right now, like, it's not my direction. They maybe might think, oh, he thinks I'm shit, like, he doesn't, like, why does he think he's better than me, like, why does he think he's too good to work with me, that sort of thing, which is, it's not the case. But and sometimes I'm not saying I think I'm better than anyone, but like, at the end of the day, music also is a business as well, and you do have to sometimes, especially before, like, think about, well, is this the best business move, rather than are we just doing, you know what I mean? Like, there is that aspect to it as well, unfortunately.
So something else I wanted to sort of go into a little bit, right? You're, to put it bluntly, right, and without sounding like a dick myself, you're a little bit shorter than the average person, right?
Yeah.
Than the average bloke.
Yeah.
What is the reason for
that? Well, I don't think. Well, you've met my dad.
Yeah.
He's not the tallest bloke.
He's not the tallest bloke.
He's under 5'4".
Yeah.
My mum's about the same height as me. Grandma's shorter than me.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Granddad's
shorter
than my dad, but a bit taller than me.
Right.
Everyone's just mad short, bro.
Yeah.
But also,
so that's,
I think this might sound a bit silly, but I was gonna be short anyway, obviously. And then, I mean, they say you do a lot of your growing in your sleep, don't they? And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't sleep when I was like in school, or like I'd be up all night.
Really?
Yeah, like till like 4 a.m, and then get up at like 7 and stuff like that. So I don't think I give myself the best chance of ever growing. So yeah, like I said, I was always gonna be short anyway. But yeah, I ain't got. Like, I did go to the doctors and stuff like that, and I'm basically borderline, like, having, what is it called, like a condition, right? But the way they work that out is they basically work out an average of your mum's height, an average of your dad's height, and there's like a line, and if you're in that line, you're fine. If you're below it, then you're classed as having
might be something,
like disorder or whatever. But I was never diagnosed with a disorder or whatever.
No.
It's literally like maths on whether that's the case.
Right.
So.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. I obviously I know your dad's short and everything.
Yeah.
But I know you've got. Is it a little bit of arthritis?
Yeah, that I mean, potentially that could. I'm not super even clued up on it to say I've had it my whole life, but yeah, I've got arthritis. Yeah.
Did you have any negative experiences with that when you were growing up, with people taking the piss?
No, surprisingly not. It is kind of as silly as it sounds. It kind of surprises me that I've never been like a bit of a bully victim, because I am like an easy target in sense that I'm really short and, you know, well, small and whatever, and people have been bullied for less. So it does surprise me, yeah, but I've really never ever had anyone consistently pick, like,
No.
everyone gets jokes about, you know what I mean, like anything like that. So I've had jokes, but at the end of the day, I make jokes back at other people about their appearance, and they're like, lads do that, don't they? So
yeah, of course, man. Yeah, of course.
I've never really had anything like off random people or anything, surprisingly. But what did you say?
Well,
sorry,
no,
like,
I didn't know if I didn't know if you had a condition.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew you had the arthritis, and I didn't know if that had like played into it.
Yeah.
But obviously, just your family is just short.
Yeah, I think the arthritis can potentially affect growth because it's like to do with your joints and stuff like that. But I'd say that arthritis has probably been more of a negative effect than the shortness have. Not in the sense that I've been bullied for having arthritis or anything, but it's like more challenging to live with than.
What does a challenge look like in that respect?
I don't know. I think potentially though it's probably added to who I am as a person.
Like your ability to deal with problems.
Yeah, and also like
build your resilience.
Yeah, I also like never really wanted, like, even when I was a kid, like never really wanted adults to know like about it. Like I used to do like cubs when I was a kid, and we'd go on like hikes, and I never wanted them to be like a hike when I was a kid. The next day I couldn't walk because of like arthritis, basically. Whereas other kids might be like, next day like wake up
springing,
fine. But I'd never want an adult to be like all the way around like, oh, you alright? Like, are you, can you do it? Like, do you need to stop for a minute? I'd never want that even when I was a young kid. So, kind of just always wanted to just push through that and not let it stop me doing stuff. So yeah.
I suppose where I was going with that was, you know, you've obviously had to be resilient with, like, you know, everything what you've done, you know, from those challenges with arthritis and whatnot, and the way that sort of builds you as a person to then get to a point where the menial little discomforts on a daily basis are sort of squashed a little bit because you're used to just having things a little bit more inconvenient.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to make it out like, oh, you know, feel sorry for the guy kind of thing. I'm more so. I was just curious if you're like, if people did take the piss and that built you to have thick skin, because I think you do have quite thick skin. Like, you've got to, I think, for what you do. Like, you are fairly in the public eye. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure you've probably had some. Like, I don't know if you read comments and stuff like that. Like, maybe you have like comments on.
100%. I mean, but who doesn't, like? And I know it like really bothers some people, but it's never. I don't think I've ever cared too much about other people's opinions. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. But
I think it is, mate.
Yeah, I think a common thing I find, especially in music, is like
totally delusional.
Yeah,
because there is that borderline. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure we both know people who
think they're really good at something
and should probably care a little bit more about
Yeah.
what other people have to say.
Yeah, I hear that. But yeah, I think a common thing in music is like people would be like, they're so scared to put something out because they're like, oh, what will people think? Like, am I gonna get shit for it? And that's something I've never had a problem with it. So I think I've just always been like moving forward, not really thinking too much about what other people think. I mean, you probably like had this with stuff you've done, like where you've questioned like, oh, like I don't know if you had it when you were like first starting your first podcast or whatever, like, or like what if people talk about it and like, oh, that's like so cringe, like so and so starting a podcast. Or but at the end of the day, I think most hate comes from people who are unhappy with themselves in some sort of way. So like, even if someone did take the piss out of me for like the way I look or me being short, I'm guaranteeing that that person is probably insecure about themselves to even think like that.
I definitely hear that.
Yeah, because I would never even like, and I think especially in today's world, like even like something like I was thinking about, well, talk about this the other day, like everyone gets their teeth done now, like absolutely everyone, like Invisalign's huge, and my teeth are not nice by any means, and they never have been. I've always had weird teeth, but never I don't look at other people's teeth and think, God, they're not nice. But I know for a fact that other people who feel insecure about their teeth will look at my teeth and think, he could do with his teeth too. But that's fair enough. I could probably do with my teeth too. It probably would change a lot, but it's just not something that I'm
really
consciously thinking about.
It's a really good metaphor, because people are more likely to pick out things in other people which they are insecure about themselves. That is the crux of what you're saying there.
Yeah, and
that is absolutely true.
I don't blame them people for that, because it's like you can't control how confident you are about, like, if you really don't like your teeth, then like, and you look at, like, it's only natural to look at someone else's teeth. You're thinking about your teeth, and like you're probably looking at other people's teeth, thinking, oh, I wish I had their teeth, or you're looking at someone else's teeth.
This sort of links
thinking,
a little bit to what me and Wolfie were talking about on the last episode towards the end. Like early when I started doing YouTube, right, I was just doing stupid shit like vlogs, and like I'd post videos like talking to the camera on stories, and just, I think I was just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck. And like you said, I didn't really care. For some reason, I got past this point of caring about what people thought about me. But I do remember, like, early days, somebody told me that they'd seen on someone's Snapchat story or something, some lads who I know they are, like, I know them, and I knew who they were back then as well, but I didn't have them as like friends or anything, and they were like posting shit, pure just taking the piss out of me and the boys for Mindset Meta. And I remember hearing that, and I was thinking, like, you know, it bothered me a little bit, just because, like, it more from a sense of like they were doing it knowing that I wouldn't see it, or like I wouldn't see it directly. It would have to be sort of filtered down and passed back to me. But I also remember thinking, like, mad, as if like I'm ruffling feathers here, like, just by doing it, as if they're that bothered. And sort of to what we were saying about the teeth thing and that metaphor there, you know, people might see what anyone else is doing online, trying to be somebody or trying to do something that they truly have a passion in doing, and they might just criticize them quietly, you know, between their circle, their friends, whatever, just taking the piss. But in reality, they might have a dream that they really want to do, but they're just scared to do it. And so the easy thing to do is to, like, rather than confronting that fear of going towards the thing, it's much easier to make the thing seem like a stupid idea. And to back up that feeling in your own head by expressing it in a negative manner to other people.
Yeah, no, it's spot on what you said. I think I do think criticism and opinion is fine though.
Yeah,
as long as you're doing it in a.
I'm all for constructive constructive criticism. Yeah.
But I think just like shitting on someone for pursuing something they enjoy, or
Yeah, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
You've been in a relationship for what, like 10 years?
9, yeah.
9 years.
10,
so coming up to
year,
10. Yeah, mad.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations.
Thanks, pal.
How did you do it? Because that's a long.
Oh, is that a genuine question?
No. Do you think that's played an important part in your success in your career?
Yeah, 100%. Because I just think life, there's so much to it, and it can be really scary sometimes thinking about the future and stuff like that. And I think kind of having someone to do life with is, it's a really big thing, and someone who will like support you and push you to be better or anything like that. Like, even when I like first doing the Sluggy Beats stuff, like, I'd never want to do this, but she was like, if I've got a job, like, if it don't work out, like, I can help us out with like covering bills or whatever, because she knew like I was stressed about that. So I'd never want to do that, like take money off her, but the fact that she was there to support offer you. That, and is obviously really nice. And just little things, just having someone to talk stuff through, or just always be there to discuss ideas. Or
does she give you constructive criticism with what you do? Does she play any role in your creative process?
She does. Yeah, she does. She'll tell me if she thinks something's not good, or if she thinks I should be doing something different, or like, if she's got an idea for me, she'll tell me stuff like that.
That's good.
But yeah, I also just think like, almost with like the money thing, not saying having a girlfriend is like having a money, but like, money's a worry, and I think like having a relationship can be a huge worry for some people, especially as like we get older. Like, you could be worried about money, you could be worried about, or like, I really want a relationship, I want to get married, I want to get a house, I want to have a kid, like, then I don't like my job, or I need a new job, or I want to start a business. Like, there's just so many things to worry about, and I'm kind of blessed that I've never like had that like feeling of I need to find that because I've found it, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, you've got that extra level of support.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that thing of like always making sure I have money, like the quote that you said at the beginning, like, I suppose it's a bit deeper than that, of like always making sure that we're all right and we've got a place to live, and stuff like that. Just making sure there's, I suppose, like key parts of life, or like the structure, foundations, whatever you want to call it, just making sure that's all right. Like, anything else can be sorted, like, if everyone does stop listening. But as long as like I've made sure that the foundations are all good, then I know I can be happy, and I'll be all right.
There's more to life than just money and that sort of thing.
Money and business, and like
for you, who loves you unconditionally.
Exactly.
It's
something I've learned a lot. Like, I'd say like over the past couple of years, like I say, like, money was always a motivator for me, but then I think it kind of took me to get to a point where, this is going to sound bad, but where I had more money than I knew what to do with, in the sense that I was looking for reasons to spend it. So I'm not like a big car person. Like, I've had the same car since I started learning to drive. It's a Volkswagen Up, so it's not like it's not
a flash car.
No, it's not a desirable. Nobody's going, I really want a Volkswagen Up, unless you're like a first time driver. But when I had that money,
to anybody who actually does have a
Yeah,
the dream to have a Volkswagen up, man.
No, yeah, that's fine, obviously, but yeah, where were I going with this? Yeah, I'd never been super bothered about changing car, but then when I had more money, I was kind of like, oh, like I might as well buy a car because I've got this much money. But then I realised, like, why am I like working to have things that I don't really want? And it's like when I could be spending time with my girlfriend or like out enjoying with friends, or you know what I mean. That's what it was, kind of that moment where I kind of realised, yeah, actually, like I don't actually just want to make money, like I actually do
want to live a good life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like,
did it take you getting that much money to realise that then?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't appreciate those parts of my life, but it was more like yeah, I think all my goals were always money orientated. Like I always, like, it was never like, oh, I really want to do this in music or whatever. It was always like, oh, I really want to make 6 figures, or I really want to be like a millionaire before I'm 30. That sort of thing. Whereas now, I don't really care if I am or I'm not, as long as I'm doing stuff I enjoy.
So, what does a day in the life of Sluggy Beats look like right now? What gets you up out of bed on a morning if it isn't that anymore?
I mean, I suppose to answer it in simple words of getting me out of bed in the morning is that, like, actually, like, I'm buzzing to get up and do the day. So like getting out of bed really isn't a problem. I'm not like, oh, I really don't want to do anything. I mean, obviously I have the odd day like that, like 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah,
but
you're not Superman.
Yeah, usually I'm pretty excited to do whatever I have on that day. And pretty much every day is just making music. Or like started doing like my YouTube videos, so sometimes it'll be like a YouTube video day. But basically every day is making a song of some sort. The songs are for different things, so it kind of depends, but yeah, basically every day I just make a song, at least.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just perfecting the craft almost.
Yeah, and just learning, and yeah.
Is there a moment that sticks out in your music career so far that you would say is your proudest moment? It doesn't have to be a particular song, it could be a milestone, or working with a particular artist, or playing in front of X amount of people, just to give some ideas.
I mean, it's going to sound kind of weird because the ones that stick out to me aren't exactly to do with Sluggy Beats or like the music as such, but
well, it doesn't have to be,
I think like yeah, like I did my grade 8 in drums, which is like,
that's huge.
Yeah, like the highest grade you can get, which obviously I
didn't know you had the grade 8 actually. That's I got to grade 2 in guitar.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, I think I did that when I was like 16, 17 or something like that, so that was kind of like, I mean, I'd been like working at that for like years, you know what I mean? I'd like learning drums.
When did you first start playing?
Must have been like year 3.
So
I don't know how old you are in that.
7 years old.
Yeah. So like I'd been doing it, like that is kind of like something I'd been working at for like 10 years.
Maybe 8 years old.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd been working at that for like roughly like 10 years, which obviously, and I think when you're a child as well, like years feel much longer than they do now. So
yeah, definitely.
It was like something that I'd been, doing for ages, and it was like, I felt pretty mad because it was like that was like the end of.
Also, like your propensity to learn, like your brain's more malleable at that age as well.
Yeah.
So it is easier to learn, and maybe that's because of like what you said about years being longer. Like if you think going from being 7 years old to 8 years old, you've increased your life experience by 1/7.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go from 25 to 26, you're increasing your life experience by a 25th.
Yeah, You could say any numbers to me and
Yeah.
I'd just be like, yeah, because I'm no good at maths. But yeah,
grade
was,
8 in drums.
Yeah, that's something that stuck out to me. And then obviously back when we were doing the band, like
The Hyde.
yeah, like playing the O2 Academy, like that one mad.
How old
like,
were you when you did that?
Maybe like 18. In fact, yeah, I think like 18, 19 maybe.
Mad.
And that, like, my dreams back then were kind of like, maybe they were fading a bit then, but like when I was like learning drums in high school, I was always like, I really want to be in a band and just like tour the world sort of thing. Not even tour the world, but just play like huge shows. So I guess not that was like a huge show, but you know, to do that was like
a dream.
Yeah, like I felt like I'd never felt more nervous for something. I don't think. I think that's the things that sticking out is the things that I was most nervous for. So like I was super nervous for my grade 8, and I was super nervous to do that.
Shows the significance when you actually feel the nerves.
Yeah. So yeah, them two things really stick out to me. But in terms of like other moments, like there's not much with the Sluggy Beats stuff, to be fair, because I think all of it's kind of been kind of number based, and I think when you have those sorts of goals, it never feels as good as you think it's going to feel. I think that sort of stuff's more about the journey than it is the actual
destination.
Hitting the goal. Yeah.
I
don't think because you're always just kind of on to the next thing then. But I do remember dropping that first ever in the house with Marky B, like seeing the numbers on that like do what it did was like a pretty crazy feeling. So that
would you say that put you on the map?
Yeah, but I didn't really realise it or feel it at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure
it's a banger
that just that song put me on the map, but I think the thing as a whole obviously did, like the In the House thing
series.
As it built up. Yeah. And then I think other moments, just stuff like quitting my job, like that felt amazing. Yeah, I think more starting the journey, definitely with the Sluggy Beat stuff, like quitting my job really felt like, alright, I'm like really gonna do this. And then I remember like I made the decision in like, was it end of 2023? Which doesn't sound, I mean, it's crazy to think even where I was then versus now, but 2023 was actually like I was doing loads of different stuff. I weren't just Sluggy Beats. Like I think I was still editing Wolf Subs back then, maybe.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. So like, which is crazy because it feels like ages ago.
Yeah. I was thinking that when I was watching the Wolf Subs pod.
Yeah, but like back then I wasn't making enough money off Sluggy Beats to like solely live off that. But it was kind of like
it was on the way.
Yeah, it was like getting to that point. And at the end of 2023, that was when I was like kind of like, why am I doing this stuff that I'm not truly passionate about, you know, to make money? Because I was making like good money, but not exactly off stuff that I wanted to do. And at the end of that's when at the end of 2023, I was kind of like, I'm just gonna fully stop doing everything that I don't want to do and just really pursue like producing. And then thankfully it worked out because, like I said, I wasn't actually making enough money to do that.
Do you think it helped? Like, did you get to a point where you were, what your Sluggy Beats income matched the other income, and then you were like, right, now I can drop this? Or, because a lot of business coaches out there will say you should go all in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you find something that you really want to do, you're better off sacrificing income in the short term to dedicate all your time towards working towards a thing that it is that you really want to do, rather than trying to do both at the same time and just meet your needs, and then when you have the time, when you're tired after working, then work on the thing that it is that you want to do.
Yeah, I think the like matching the income thing, I probably held on to my job at Sainsbury's like for too long, if anything, out of like kind of like fear of, because I I had fully like bought a house and everything like that. It wasn't like I was just like living at home.
You had bills to pay.
Yeah. So I always said like, oh, I'll wait till I match it and then I'll quit. But I didn't actually do that. I waited probably till I probably waited till I doubled it,
Mm.
and then I quit.
Mm.
And then even still in my head, I was still like scared.
Mm.
But I think 'cause I did that and it worked out, and like I managed to like grow a lot in just like 3 months after quitting. I was like, oh wow, like actually putting this time in is really like
Being beneficial.
Yeah. And then that's kind of like when I thought with the like at the end of like 2023, like, well, I did it then, and I like tripled my money or whatever. Like, surely, if I just quit all the other stuff and do that with, producing, like, let's just see what happens, and thankfully it did work out. Yeah.
So if you could go back, let's say I give you a time machine now, right? You can go back to, let's say, the Harry that I knew in high school, right?
Yeah.
16. You just got your grade 8 in drums or whatever. What would you say to him, if you could say anything?
I'd probably tell myself to start producing earlier, because that wasn't actually something that I found until later on, and think about actually making music more, because it sounds stupid, but I didn't actually think about, oh wait, you can actually make music till like much later. So yeah, I tell myself that. And I don't really know, because I won't really want to change too much. I mean, maybe I won't even change that, because the fact is that I am really happy with where I am now, and
that is because of all
like
the
everything
decisions
that's
that you made up
happened,
until
and
this point.
all the stuff that's happened has made me the person I am now, and I feel like I've got a really good skill set and mindset, and
you've built that through the resilience of
doing
working in the job that you didn't really want to do, and doing all the things that were a little bit difficult when you could have been dedicating all your time to do it.
Definitely. And I mean, I don't know if you've found this with people I know you probably definitely know people that like have never really had to get like a shit job like that, or have that like worry of like, oh, am I going to run out of money, or is this going to be okay? Because I mean, some people's parents are just like loaded out there, and they don't really have that worry, and
there's always a parachute, man. For some people there is a parachute.
I feel like when I meet someone who's had that, I notice it straight away, and I think in some ways, obviously it's a really nice way to live, and they'll probably maybe live longer than I will, because they've not been as stressed or worried about stuff. But I think you can definitely see it, and I think it does a lot of bad as well as good to have that sort of, oh, it's all right because my mum will sort it, or my dad will sort it, or I don't think that's something. And I'm not saying that I haven't had that support of my family, because I definitely have, like.
They've been there when you needed them.
100%, and they would look after me if I needed it, but I never saw that as an option, so I think it maybe
So you wouldn't say much to him, you just say maybe get on Logic a bit sooner.
Get some more sleep.
Get some more sleep. There you go, people. Prioritise your sleep, that's a good one.
Sleep's very important.
I think this is an ongoing theme already. Episode 2, we've got a theme, but I kind of want this to be a recurring thing, is the conversation of, you come to crossroads in your life and you might be presented with 2 options. You can keep going down one path, which is the path that you've been going down, or you can divert and do something totally different, and you obviously decided to take that plunge, albeit through the passion that you'd built for music over the years, and it obviously worked out for you, mate. Like, it's gone well. And speaking of crossroads, not saying that you're necessarily at a crossroads right now, but is there anything on the horizon that you can see sort of like a change coming for your career? Like, is there any opportunities that have been presented to you, like we spoke earlier a little bit about you were doing some more of the live performances. You obviously mentioned that back in the day you had a bit of a dream to sort of tour the world. I know you've been approached by or you've had discussions with some big names to be like a part of their tour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon?
I think in terms of the live stuff, I think that's definitely taken a back seat for me. I think it's that whole thing of learning and experience things again that, you know, I keep seeming to go back to. But I think, like you say, when we went and did that gig and I did that festival, like, as daft as it sounds, that festival obviously looked great on the video and stuff like that, but like I kind of really dreaded doing that up to doing it. And from having those, it made me realise, I don't actually want to do that. And it sounds daft, but like I really enjoy my weeks now of like I'm really excited to play football on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and like I enjoy going out with my friends to the local pub on a weekend.
Those
and
Tuesday nights are like some of the highlights of
yeah,
my week, bro.
and
They
like
genuinely are.
yeah, honestly, like if I had a gig on a Tuesday, I'd be thinking, oh, I'm gutted I'm missing football. So like I'm not saying the DJ thing will never happen or anything like that, but like I said, producing music's definitely the thing for me. And in the spirit of like not chasing money and stuff like that, I think that maybe would be, you know, what it would be. But I think maybe if I can get my music to a point where people know it and they sing it and stuff like that, I think that will probably give me a much different feeling of playing music and hearing and seeing people actually enjoy my music rather than just obviously DJing other people's music. 100%. So like I say, we'll just see. I'll see how things go in that aspect of things.
Take each day as it comes.
Yeah, because you never know. And obviously passions change and stuff like that. But I think in terms of like my career and where I want it to go and stuff like that is I do really like making YouTube videos, like the tutorial stuff and stuff like that. So that'll be something I'll definitely be continuing.
What about Sluggy Beats FC football YouTube series?
I mean, potentially, yeah. that could definitely be on the cards.
Well, I've got experience making the football videos mate, from back in the day, so
yeah, well,
that'll be funny.
Yeah, that it could be something.
Let us know if you want to see that in the comments.
Yeah. But just really just more producing, and again that thing of learning, like I'm starting to try and get into like doing music for like film and like television. TV and adverts and stuff like that. And
well, you showed me that track the other day that Charlie had made, and that was sick. I really like that as well. Yeah.
But yeah, like obviously you heard it and you'll know it's like a complete different genre.
Oh
it's
god,
like,
yeah, that's what I meant earlier with what I was saying about the different,
you
know, the variety of music that you actually make.
Yeah, so like it's like a whole different avenue of like getting to learn and like how to like produce and write in these different genres. So that's, again, it's like that thing of like doing what I actually enjoy, and that's something that I enjoy. I'm not doing it to like, don't get me wrong, it is really good money if you do it right, doing the whole TV thing, but I am doing that because I want to do it, and it's lots of learning and enjoyment. And then like doing more writing in general, like writing actual songs, not just producing for other artists. And yeah, like I've said to you, like more taking my production into like, I think because the Sluggy Beats thing is kind of like what I've used to support my living. It has been very like business and doing like songs that I know people will like, whereas now I'm doing more stuff that I like and like experimenting more, and not saying that I don't want to make music that other people like, but I'm kind of doing a more open approach of like being creative and thinking, well, if I like it, I'm sure other people will like it. And yeah, kind of putting that out, and again like learning more the business side to it with that stuff. So like,
are you thinking record label?
Not for me to start one, but like I've signed like 2 songs this year, which before that all my songs pretty much were independent, other than like remixes that I've done, but I didn't sign them deals to like get a advance check or anything like that. It was more to be like, well, what does a record deal look like? How does it work?
Oh, so
What's
you
the
did that
process of
just
that?
purely out of the experience. To
Yeah,
an
like
extent.
what does a
Yeah.
record label actually do when they release? And it's like, now I've done 2 of them songs, I'm like, alright, this next one I'm gonna try do everything they did but by myself and see what happens there. And then maybe, yeah, I would have a record label in 5 years time, but obviously I don't want to be a record label that just doesn't do anything. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
it's kind of like learning that again. And then, you know, I could see myself doing something like that, like signing artists and stuff in the future.
So I want to sort of round this off with some, let's say, more rapid fire type questions. Is there a comment on any of your content ever, a message like a YouTube comment, a TikTok comment, positive or negative, that sticks out in your mind? Have you ever read something and just been like, that is hilarious, or that's just...
Oh, like a funny one?
It could be funny, it could be like someone shitting on you, or
I mean, I think I used to get
positive.
like with the in the house stuff, like used to get like Fumes the Engineer from Wish and stuff like that. And just, I always found those ones quite funny, but also like quite a big compliment in a way, because it's like, that to me is like a huge series of like like a lot of people know, and it's like the fact that people were like kind of,
it's a backhanded compliment though.
Yeah, like they're not saying like, well, even people would put like, oh, you're better than Fumes, and not that my goal is to be better than Fumes, but the fact that like people would be like enjoying my series as much as they've enjoyed that, like something of that level, is obviously a really good feeling. Yeah. And just like just, I mean, every time someone comments like, oh, I love this song, like, oh, it's added to my playlist, like, I was blasting this tune the other day, just, you know, any comment like that is like, it's always crazy that something that I've made, like, people are like listening to. And I mean, even like when you open your Spotify for artists, you can see how many people are listening to you,
or like live sort of.
And like just to see that number, like the fact that many people listen to me right this second, like,
yeah, I bet that's it.
Yeah, like it's like the number that's at, like at one point I never thought I could even get that many streams, whereas they'll be listening to that at that very moment.
Right. Dream artist collab, realistic and delusional.
Realistic and delusional.
Could be dead or alive.
I think making a tune with Blink-182 would be like a crazy, like, full circle moment for me, because that was like, they were like the first band that I like really, really loved, and I was like, I want to play drums like Travis Barker and learn all their songs, and like, so that would be like a crazy, like, full circle thing. I think rapper wise, H, I've always really liked H as a rapper, and I think like UK music wise.
By the way, the intro track to The Learning Curve.
Oh yeah.
Produced by
H-inspired.
Sluggy, H-inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything like that, it would be cool. And then I'd really love to have like to write the music for a film, like do a full film sort of thing, like, you know, like just as an example, like if I could make the music for a Batman film, like the whole thing.
That'd be insane.
Like something crazy like that.
Second to last question. Any advice for any young people out there wanting to get into the music industry, whether it be producing or as an artist, from somebody who has done it like yourself?
I think the advice spans across anything really, is just like literally just go do it. Like, don't sit and do nothing, or, you know, procrastinate or think, how do I do this, how do I do that. Like, just actually just go do it, and like meet people, ask plenty of questions, but don't be annoying. Also, don't like expect anything. Like, I'll get lots of messages that'll be like, literally just say, make me a track, get me in the booth, and it's like, well, fair enough, but why? Like, why are you
What
of
are you gonna do
value,
for
or
me?
what are you offering? And I really like the thing that Gary Vee says. I think he says like jab jab hook or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like that thing of like, you do something for someone twice and then ask for something, and that's kind of why I think In the House worked, is because I was actually offering something. It's like, why are these rappers going to work with me? And it was like, well, I'll produce you a track, I'll film you a video, I'll mix it, I'll distribute it for you, and I'll promote it. And that's what got people to come on. So like Marky B had like 100+ K monthly listeners, and I had none.
Yeah.
And we dropped a song together.
Yep.
And that was because I was offering something. So
You've got to give.
Yeah.
You've got to give to get.
Think about what you're offering.
Yeah. Last question. Before I go into that, it's interesting that you said just do it, because that's exactly what Wolfie said as well. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. What has been your biggest learning curve so far on your journey?
I think my biggest learning curve, and I think it comes from being so. I have a thing of like not caring what people think, but at the same time, maybe valuing certain people's opinions too much, or like. I think a lot of people can come across really confident and like they know what they're doing, but then it's like, especially in the music industry, and I think maybe just questioning like, well, why am I listening to that person, or like do we in fact, does it matter what they think? I don't quite know how to describe
sort
it.
Sort of learning whose
advice. What voices to listen to, I think.
What voices to listen to?
Because there is a lot, and especially the more you progress,
there's more voices.
Yeah, and from people who have done really well, but there's some people that they really do really well from blagging their whole career, and that is a skill in itself. But I think just be careful what voices you are listening to, and if you feel like someone's consistently stopping you from doing stuff that you want to do, maybe they're not a voice you should be listening to.
I think that's great advice, mate. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for having me on.
It's been class, mate. Sluggy Beats on all platforms, everybody. But you probably know that already.